What if the last Apache woman ever sold at an auction found hope in the hands of the one man who refused to see her as property? This unforgettable Wild West story is filled with courage, compassion, and unexpected twists. Stay until the end to witness her incredible journey, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell for more inspiring frontier stories. The dusty auction yard in Arizona Territory had witnessed countless heartbreaking scenes, but this morning carried a heavier silence than usual. A dry wind swept across the wooden platform, lifting clouds of dust into the air, while ranchers, traders, and curious townspeople gathered around. They spoke in low voices as armed guards escorted a young Apache woman onto the stage. Her tribe had been defeated and scattered across the territory, leaving her completely alone. Though exhaustion filled her face and sorrow rested in her eyes, she refused to lower her head. She stood with quiet dignity, refusing to let the crowd see her fear. The auctioneer announced that she was the last Apache woman available for sale, but the words sounded colder than the wind blowing across the yard. The crowd studied her as if she were nothing more than livestock. Some men laughed openly, while others shook their heads, believing she would bring only trouble. Rumors spread quickly through the gathering. They called her stubborn, dangerous, and impossible to control because she had refused to beg for mercy. A few buyers stepped closer only to walk away moments later, deciding she was not worth the risk. The young woman remained silent, refusing to answer the insults thrown her way. Deep inside, she remembered the stories her elders had told about courage. Even if everything had been taken from her, no one could steal the honor her people had taught her to protect until her final breath. Standing near the back of the crowd was Ethan Walker, a quiet rancher known throughout the county for keeping to himself. He had traveled into town to purchase supplies for his ranch, never expecting to witness an auction like this. Unlike the others, Ethan paid little attention to the cruel whispers surrounding him. Instead, he noticed the sadness hidden behind the woman's determined expression. He saw someone who had lost her family, her home, and nearly every reason to trust another human being. The auctioneer called for higher bids, but most people simply laughed or looked away. After a long moment of silence, Ethan calmly stepped forward and made one fair offer. The auctioneer accepted it immediately, ending the sale without another challenge. Laughter echoed across the yard as several traders mocked Ethan for wasting his hard-earned money. They warned him that the Apache woman would run away or cause endless problems on his ranch. Ethan ignored every comment without speaking a single word. He signed the necessary papers before walking toward the wagon waiting nearby. The young woman expected rough hands to force her forward, yet Ethan only nodded toward the seat beside him. Confused, she climbed aboard without resistance. During the long ride across the open plains, neither of them spoke. The endless grasslands stretched beneath the afternoon sun while distant mountains watched over the lonely trail. She believed she had merely exchanged one prison for another, expecting harsh treatment the moment they reached his land. As evening settled over the Arizona landscape, Ethan's small ranch finally appeared beyond a line of cottonwood trees. Instead of ordering the Apache woman inside, he climbed down from the wagon and quietly untied the horses before carrying supplies toward the porch. He left enough space for her to make her own choice. She looked around carefully, surprised that no chains, ropes, or armed guards waited nearby. The peaceful ranch stood in sharp contrast to the cruelty she had endured only hours earlier. Ethan never raised his voice, never demanded obedience, and never treated her like property. His quiet respect confused her more than any threat ever could. For the first time since her capture, she wondered if fate had brought her somewhere completely unexpected. Life on Ethan's ranch was nothing like the Apache woman had imagined during the long ride from town. She expected locked doors, harsh commands, and endless work without mercy. Instead, Ethan quietly showed her a small wooden cabin beside the main house, leaving fresh blankets, clean clothes, and a warm meal on the table before walking away. He never demanded gratitude or asked questions about her past. Every morning he greeted her with simple kindness, giving her the freedom to decide whether she wished to help around the ranch. The silence between them slowly became peaceful instead of frightening. For the first time in many months, she slept through the night without fear of being awakened by shouting or violence. As the days turned into weeks, she began helping with small chores around the ranch. She gathered firewood, carried water from the creek, repaired worn blankets, and quietly watched how Ethan cared for every horse and cow with patience. He never treated animals cruelly, and he never expected more from others than he expected from himself. Curious about the woman he had rescued, Ethan remained respectful, allowing trust to grow naturally instead of forcing conversation. Little by little, she answered his questions with short replies. One evening, she finally shared her name and spoke about the mountains where her people had once lived in peace. Ethan listened without interrupting, understanding that sometimes silence showed greater respect than words. When winter arrived earlier than expected, powerful winds swept across the Arizona plains, covering trails with snow and driving frightened cattle away from the safety of the ranch. Several neighboring ranchers believed many animals would be lost before sunrise. Without hesitation, the Apache woman remembered the survival lessons taught by her elders during harsh winters. She recognized the direction of the wind, found hidden tracks beneath the snow, and guided Ethan toward a narrow canyon where the frightened herd had gathered for shelter. Working together through freezing temperatures, they safely returned every animal before the storm grew even stronger. Ethan knew that without her courage, experience, and quick thinking, the ranch would have suffered a devastating loss. News of what had happened spread quickly through nearby towns and ranches. The same people who had laughed during the auction now spoke with surprise and admiration. They realized the Apache woman possessed wisdom, courage, and skills that no amount of money could buy. Some neighbors visited Ethan's ranch, offering thanks for helping recover cattle that had wandered during the storm. Others apologized for judging her unfairly before knowing her true character. Although she accepted their kindness with quiet grace, she never forgot the pain caused by prejudice. Still, seeing people change gave her hope that hearts could be transformed when fear was replaced with understanding, respect, and simple acts of compassion. Spring eventually painted the valleys with green grass and wildflowers, bringing new life to the ranch and to both of their hearts. The Apache woman no longer felt like a prisoner of the past, but a valued member of a peaceful home. Ethan discovered that true strength was never measured by weapons, wealth, or power, but by kindness, patience, and the courage to do what was right when everyone else chose hatred. Together, they built a future founded on trust, instead of fear, proving that compassion could overcome even the deepest wounds. What had begun as a heartbreaking auction became an unforgettable story of hope, healing, friendship, and a new beginning in the American West.